Okay, let's be honest. We've all been there, right? That compliance training, just clicking next, next, next to get it over with. But here's the big question. Does any of it actually work? Today, we're going to look past those simple completion rates and dig into how you can measure the real impact of your programs.
You know, this is the question that probably keeps a lot of you HR and compliance pros up at night. I mean, you've spent all this time and money rolling out the training. You've got everyone's signature. But then what? Did anything actually change? Did any of it really stick?
And that really gets us to the heart of the problem we're talking about today. It's what we call check-the-box compliance. You know, it's when training just becomes another task to get done, another box to tick on a list. It stops being a real tool for changing behavior and cutting down on risk. And honestly, that's a super dangerous place for any organization to be.
So yeah, let's pull back the curtain on this whole thing, what I call the check-the-box illusion. Why is just aiming for 100% completion not only kind of useless, but an actual real threat to your company?
And look, these aren't just a bunch of random problems. It's more like a domino effect. First, you hit those high completion rates and everyone feels safe, right? A false sense of security. But then, the forgetting curve kicks in and people forget what they learned almost immediately. So what happens? Your employees get cynical. They start thinking, what a waste of time. And the end result? Your whole organization gets blindsided by a risk you thought you had covered. Not good.
Okay, so if just checking the box is the big problem, what's the answer? Well, it's all about measuring real impact. And listen, this isn't just some nice-to-have extra. It's an absolute strategic necessity for your business.
When you really boil it down, measuring impact comes down to 4 key things. The first one is obvious: risk reduction. We're talking fewer security breaches, fewer workplace accidents, the real stuff. Second, regulators are getting way smarter. They don't just want your word for it, they want to see proof that your training works. Third is your return on investment, or ROI. You've got to be able to show that the money you're spending on training is actually paying off. And finally, it's all about continuous improvement. You use the data you collect to make your training better and better each time.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This isn't speculation. Regulators, think the Department of Justice, they've been crystal clear about this. They are not satisfied with training that just exists on paper. They want to see programs that genuinely, truly shape how your employees behave day to day. And if that's not enough, here's the real financial kicker. The cost of one single compliance failure, we're talking massive fines, legal bills, the hit to your reputation. It absolutely dwarfs the cost of doing your training right from the start. So investing in a program that actually works, it's not just good practice, it's one of the smartest financial decisions you can make.
All right, so we've laid out the problem, we know why this stuff matters, so how do we actually fix it? Well, it's time to toss out that old, dusty scorecard and bring in a new one. One that focuses on what really, truly counts.
Just look at the difference here. We are moving away from that one single, kind of superficial metric, completion rates, and we're moving to a scorecard packed with powerful outcome-based indicators. Things like, are people's behaviors actually changing? Are we seeing fewer incidents? Is our company culture shifting in a positive way? These are the questions we should be asking. Okay, let's make this super practical. Picture this: a financial firm starts tracking how many employees click on those fake phishing emails they send out. Before they did any targeted training, their click rate was a scary 25%, but after, it plummeted to under 5%. Now that isn't a completion rate, that is a clear, measurable change in behavior that directly cuts the company's risk. That's real impact.
Or how about this one? A manufacturing company totally revamps its safety training. They get away from just showing rules on a screen and move to actual hands-on workshops. And the result? A staggering 40% reduction in workplace accidents. I mean, that's a number that doesn't just prove impact, it literally saves lives.
And you know, impact isn't always about preventing bad things from happening. Sometimes it's about encouraging good things. For example, one company rolled out some new ethics training, and afterwards they saw a 30% increase in calls to their internal helpline. Now, I know what you're thinking. More reports, that sounds bad. But it's actually a fantastic sign. It means the training worked. It helped create a healthier speak-up culture where people finally felt safe enough to come forward and raise concerns.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, how can I start tracking these kinds of metrics? Great question. Let's open up the toolkit and look at the practical methods you can use to build your very own impact measurement program. The basic cycle is actually pretty straightforward. Step 1, you start with a pretest. This just gives you a baseline of what people already know. Step 2, deliver the training. Step 3, right after, you do a post-test to see what they picked up immediately. But here's the absolute game changer. Step 4, the follow-up test. You do this weeks, maybe even months later, to find out what really stuck.
And you can add even more to that basic cycle with some other really powerful tools. You can use surveys to get that rich, qualitative feedback. You can empower your managers with checklists to observe and report on their team's behavior. Dig into your learning management system analytics, your LMS, to see exactly where people are struggling. And of course, keep a close eye on those hard numbers, like incident rates, so you can directly connect your training to real-world results.
All right, as we start to bring this all together, it's really important to get this one thing. This is about more than just a new process. We're talking about a fundamental shift in how you think about compliance. It's about moving it from being a chore to being a core part of your company's culture.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, it creates this awesome virtuous cycle. You start by making sure your training goals are tied to actual business risks. Then you make the training itself engaging and relevant. You reinforce it over time, and you get your leadership to back it up. But the real magic is in that last step. You use all that measurement data you're collecting to constantly improve the program. Every year, it gets smarter, sharper, and more effective.
When it comes down to it, when you start measuring what truly matters, you completely transform compliance training. It stops being this annoying task that nobody wants to do. It stops being just a cost center on a spreadsheet, and it becomes a real strategic advantage that actually protects your organization and makes your culture stronger.
So I'll leave you with one final question to think about for your own organization. Is your training just checking a box? Is it just about satisfying some requirement on paper? Or is it a powerful engine that's driving real, meaningful, and measurable change in your culture? Because believe me, the answer to that question makes all the difference in the world.